We're going to take a look at end user searching on the Intradyn email archiving solution. When an end user logs in, they're presented with an interface that looks very similar to an email client. They're presented here with the search criteria interface. By default, we are presenting 4 parts of the email that you can use when you're doing a search. You are not limited to those 4 areas. Clicking on the Add Search Term button will bring up an option box that contains all the specific parts of the email that you can use when you're building out a search. You can use as many of these or as few of these as you would like, and you can actually even use them multiple times within a single search. I'll do a couple of real quick simple searches here. First one I'm going to do is just looking for emails received in the past day that contain the word baseball. Submit this search. This has gone out and found 21 results. If I wanted to refine that search, I can click back up on query terms. It'll take me back up that search criteria that I used, and then from here I can continue to build out on that search. So I'm actually going to use this email text field a second time, but now I'm also going to use the pull down here. This pull down controls how we handle that search criteria, so a user does not have to understand writing out a Boolean search string in order to build out a more complex search. They can simply pick the operator that they wish to use, and then we'll apply it to the criteria that they would enter. So I'm going to add an exclusion to this search, telling it to still look for emails in the past day that contain the word baseball, but now telling it to exclude any emails that also contain the word Cubs. Submit this search, and rather than those 21 results, it's taken our list of results down to 14. At any point, a user could click on the message, and it'll bring up a preview of the message here in the same window. They can also open up the query terms in that same window as well. From here, the user can choose to forward the message, so they could recover a deleted message back to their own mailbox, or if they wanted to send a copy of this message to a third party, they could do that as well by simply typing in the email address that they wanted to send it to. They could print a copy of the message through their browser. This will open up a copy of the message in a clean window, or they can simply print it directly through their browser interface. They could also choose to generate a PDF of the email. This will generate a PDF on the back end. That will then display in the browser for you to be able to save or download to the local environment. Important to note that when we are creating these PDFs, if there's an attachment on the email, the attachment will also be included within that PDF as well. You can also view the raw headers of the message. This is the full metadata of the message. Most users don't care about this feature, but a lot of administrators do. Over at the results side of the screen, you can take similar actions, but from over here, you can do it on more than one message at a time. I can ask it to select all 14 messages and ask it to print a PDF, print through the browser, or forward those messages. Also added here is an export option. Export will take any of the messages that are selected and place them into either a raw.eml format or individual PDFs, and then place those into a zip file that you can download. You also have the option back up at the query level that if you would like to save that search criteria for use again in the future, you can hit the Save Criteria button and then apply a name and description to that search criteria. And then from here, it will show up on the Save Search menu. And the user can come in and rerun that search on demand. They can edit that search criteria to use it as a starting point for a new search. Intradyn also has available a plugin for Microsoft's Outlook email client. This plugin can be installed on users' workstations via group policy or individually. Once it's been installed on the Outlook desktop, there'll be a tab added that says Email Archiver. From here, the user can click on the search button, and this will open up a dialog box that looks very similar to Advanced Find in Outlook, and then from here, a user can be searching against their archive for their emails. So doing a search here looking for emails containing the word baseball, submit this search. While the search is running, it's running 100% against the archive. It's not looking at anything on the Exchange server or anything in the local client. It's going solely against the archive. Once the results are up, the user can click on a message, open it up, interact with it just as if it's an Outlook. They could also, if they would choose to, select a message or multiple messages and do a right click and ask it to copy those messages back into their mailbox or a specific folder or PSD file within their mailbox. Next, we're going to take a look at one of the more advanced features available within the Intradyn email archive. I am logged in here as a user with advanced permissions levels, meaning that I do have the option here or the ability to apply tags and do redactions on email. People that may use this quite commonly would be HR personnel, legal personnel, compliance officers, anyone that is searching against emails other than their own. Maybe a person that's responsible for responding to e-discovery requests, and we'll use that as kind of an example here. So if someone receives an e-discovery request, in most cases they need to do more than one search in order to locate all the emails that they're looking for. With the Intradyn product, what they can do is they can come to the configuration tab and they can define a tag. The tag can be defined as just a plain tag, or it can have the legal hold attribute. The legal hold attribute will prevent a message from ever being deleted from the archive. So important to note that the only way messages can be removed from the archive is through the use of a data retention policy, which is an age-based policy. There's no way for end users to delete emails. But if you do have a data retention policy in place, applying a legal hold tag will prevent an email or those emails from ever being deleted from the archive for as long as that tag is associated with the message. I'm going to go ahead and create a tag using today's date. It'll ask me to add a description to this tag. And then I can verify that the legal hold box is checked here and then hit the create legal hold. This will generate a tag with that legal hold attribute on it. And then the next step would be to go ahead and start doing your searches for the emails that you're looking for. As I mentioned, in most cases, people would be doing more than one search, and that's what I will do here. So first thing I'm going to do here is just look for emails received in the past week that contain the word football. And to make this a little bit more complex, I'm going to use that email text field again, and I'm going to exclude emails that also contain the word bears. Submit this search. This has gone out and found 49 results. From here, I can go ahead and select all of those messages and then apply that tag that I had created to those messages. I would then go ahead and do my next search. And so in this case, let's change this criteria that we're looking for and look for emails containing the word baseball. And we'll remove this exclusion and submit this search. This has gone out and found 175 results. I'll apply my tag to those results. The investigator would then, continue to do their searches, making sure that they're identifying all of the emails that they're looking for. This message that popped up here said that last action only applied the tag to 172 messages. What that means is 3 of the messages that were in that search results had already been tagged with that tag, so it did not double tag them. Once you are done doing the searches that you need to do, you can come over to the all tag viewer, see all of those messages that you tagged in a single location, and then you can start doing your review of the content of those messages. If I open up this first one on the list here, see the content of it. This is where you can also start to do redaction on messages. So what redaction will do is remove or obliterate text within a message so it's not readable. So if I highlight a word or a phrase here and then select the redaction option, this will ask me, do I want to apply this redaction to just this single email, or do I want to apply it to all 221 results that have that tag on it? So if I select the entire tag here and say OK, the screen will refresh here in just a second, and we'll see the word twins has been removed from this message. And if we come over here and look at another message that's in that tag, we'll see that redaction reflected there as well. Maybe in this case, you may find another word or phrase that you want to redact, and you can select that here and then go through the steps again, saying I'm going to go ahead and apply this across the entire message. And it's applied that redaction. So now if you were to print these messages through the browser or to PDF, that printed copy will reflect the redaction as well. It is important to note that this redaction is taking place on a copy of the message, so the original message is still intact within the archive, and if you were to do a new search for the message, you would find the unredacted version. It would only be when you come back in and look at the message via the tag that you would see the redactions. One of the most asked about features on the Intradyn archive is the data retention policy. While it is important to note that there's no way for an end user to delete emails from the archive, emails can be removed from the archive through setting a data retention policy. Data retention policy is an age-based policy that controls how long emails are kept on the archive. The data retention policy is located on the maintenance tab. By default, it is set to forever. We will add a custom policy to this archive. First question we need to answer is how long is the base retention policy going to be? So this is the minimum amount of time that everything is going to be kept on the archive. In this case, I'm going to tell it to keep everything for at least 3 years, and then we can extend beyond that base period. So we may want to keep our accounting or finance department's emails for 7 years to mimic IRS regulations. We may want to keep sales department, for example, for 5 years. And lastly, possibly our R&D department. We want to keep all of the emails in that department for forever. You can also extend this by a specific domain extension. So if you have a particular customer that you have a contract with and you want to make sure that you're keeping all the communication with that customer for that period of time, you can set a policy related to that customer's domain. You can also do it by specific email address. Again, does not have to be one of your addresses, could be an external address, and you can also do it by tag. Previously, we've discussed tags and mentioned that tags can be used to apply legal hold to a message, but you have to define a tag as a legal hold tag for that to happen. So if you do not define a tag as a legal hold, you can use those non-legal hold tags to apply specific retention policies down to the individual message level. Once you have your policy defined, you would select how often you want this policy to run. Most people will run it daily. Put in the administrator's email address. They'll receive an email each day after the policy is run, informing them how many emails were removed from the archive. Let's take a look at the Message Intelligence add-on for the Intradyn email archive. Message Intelligence is a very powerful business intelligence tool that is available by subscription. This tool allows you to graphically or visually see who is emailing who. So we'll do a couple examples here. First one I'm going to do is a relationship view. I'm going to ask the system to show me a particular individual within my organization. By default here, we're going to be looking over a full year, and we're going to be looking at just external relationships. So we're not looking at any emails that he's exchanged with his coworkers, only emails that he's exchanged with the outside world. We submit this search. Rather than it giving us a list of emails like we would see on the traditional archive, this is giving us a graphical representation of those email-based relationships. Since we are looking at a full year, it's giving us a very busy screen here. To make this a little bit more viewable, I'm going to put a filter on. I'm going to use a relationship strength filter or a trust filter. This is based on the volume of email that's been exchanged. So volume is made up of not only the number of emails, but also the size of those emails. So I have applied a medium strength policy here, telling it to show me the people that he's got a medium to strong relationship with. So it's removed a lot of the background noise. If we relay this out, and zoom in, we can actually make much better sense of what we're seeing here on the screen. So as we zoom in, we'll see that person I started with in the center part of the circle. Around the perimeter are those external contacts. The blue arrow lines representing emails that our person Scott here is sending. The gold arrow lines, emails that are being sent to him. If I was using this tool in the course of an investigation, I might be drawn to a specific outside contact and be wondering, well, is there anyone else in my organization also talking to this person? I can isolate in on that outside party, do a right click, and ask it to show me if there's any other relationships with anyone within my organization. In this case, it did find 2 other people in my organization also talking to that person. And you can actually continue to go around the entire circle here, asking that same question, and it'll actually show you if there's any relationships in common amongst any of the parties that you're looking at. So it did find one common relationship here. You can also view this data at a little bit higher level. Here we were looking at an individual. In this case here, through the account view, I'm going to use a wildcard and ask it to include all of the email addresses within my organization, and I'm going to limit it to a specific outside domain or part of a domain name. Submit this search, and this is now going to show me everyone in my organization that has got an email-based relationship with anyone in a domain containing that UMISH phrase that I put in there. As we zoom in here, we'll see the format of the results have changed a little bit. This is now showing the details as a heat map. So the bright red is indicating to me that the communications with this person are most recent, and it'll fade all the way out to a dark blue, meaning that the communications are older. You may have noticed on this page and on the previous page the various line thicknesses. This is a direct relationship to the volume. This is a direct relationship to the volume of email or the strength of those relationships. And at any point in this tool, you can actually click on these relationship lines and go in and view the message level details contained. There's obviously many things that you can do with this tool, and it's hard to give it justice here in just a couple of minutes. So if you are interested in this, please contact us here at Intradyn, and we would be happy to show you the complete power of message intelligence as it relates to your email archive. Your Intradyn email archive can also archive social media content that has been captured. Show you a quick example of that. I have a save search here that's been defined to show me social media that's been archived on this unit in the past day. From the save search screen here, I'm going to run this search. It's found 362 results. At the top of the results, I've got a YouTube and then a whole bunch of Twitter. We'll start with a tweet here. Clicking on that tweet will bring up the contents of that tweet, including any of the graphics. It'll also be capturing retweets and favoriting information. All of the text contained within here is fully searchable, just as it is within an email. And we can also capture content from YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, etc. When dealing with something like YouTube, it'll show us the full content of that YouTube post, as well as any comments or liking actions that was made on the post will be archived as well.